In the heart of Timbuktu, Amara finds a glowing tablet that whispers of a vault Mansa Musa hid a secret so dangerous. It cursed the king, haunted by shadowy figures with amber eyes. She must uncover the truth before it destroys her. Will she break the curse or become its next victim? The vault is calling, dare you enter?
Chapter 1. The Whispered Clue in Timbuktu's dust. The sun burned low over Timbuktu, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Dust swirled through the narrow streets, carried by a dry wind that whispered secrets only the oldest stones could. Here, in the heart of the city, where mud-brick houses leaned close like gossiping friends, stood the great library of Timbuktu. Its walls, baked hard by centuries of sun, held more than just books. They held the heartbeat of the Mali Empire, a kingdom once ruled by the richest man who ever lived, Mansa Musa. Amara, a young scholar with sharp eyes and a quick mind, pushed open the library's heavy wooden door. The air inside was cool, thick with the smell of old paper and leather. Her sandals slapped softly against the stone floor as she moved past shelves stacked high with manuscripts. Each one was a treasure, filled with stories, maps, and wisdom from the days when Mali's gold made the world turn its head. Amara loved these books. They were her friends, her teachers, her window into a time when Timbuktu was the center of learning, and Mansa Musa's name echoed like thunder. Today, though she wasn't here to read for pleasure, she had a job to do. Old man Jibril, the head librarian, had asked her to sort a pile of forgotten scrolls in the back room. They're dusty, Amara, he'd warned, his voice rough like sand, but there's something special in them. I feel it in my bones. Jibril was always saying things like that, talking about feelings and signs. Amara didn't believe in signs. She believed in facts, in words written on paper, in truths you could touch. Still, she trusted Jibril. He'd taught her to read the old scripts, to trace the curling letters of Arabic and the secret codes of the griots, Mali's storytellers. If he thought something was special, she'd give it a look. The back room was small and dim, lit only by a single clay lamp flickering on a wooden table. Dust motes danced in the faint light, and the air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. Amara set her satchel down and knelt beside a wooden chest. It was old, its edges worn smooth, carved with swirling patterns that looked like rivers or stars. She lifted the lid, and a puff of dust made her cough. Inside were scrolls, some tied with frayed string, others crumbling at the edges. They smelled of time, of secrets left too long in the dark. She started unrolling the first scroll, careful not to tear the brittle paper. It was a list of trade goods: salt, gold, ivory, nothing exciting. The next was a poem about the Niger River, beautiful but not what she was looking for. She worked through the pile, her fingers stained with dust, her patience wearing thin. Hours passed, and the lamp's flame grew weak. Amara sighed, rubbing her eyes. Maybe Gibril's special feeling was just an old man's hope. Then, as she reached for the last scroll, her fingers brushed something hard beneath the pile. She frowned and dug deeper, pushing the scrolls aside. There, at the bottom of the chest, was a flat stone tablet, no bigger than her hand. It was smooth, black as night, and cold to the touch, like it had been pulled from a riverbed. Strange symbols were carved into its surface, spirals and jagged lines that seemed to shift when she tilted it in the light. Amara's heart beat faster. This wasn't just a tablet. It was something else, something hidden on purpose. She turned it over, and her breath caught. Words were etched on the back, in old Arabic script, faint but clear. Beneath the heart of Mali lies the vault of the king's shadow. Only the brave seek it. Only the doomed find it. Below the words was a single name, Mansa Musa. Amara's hands shook. Mansa Musa, the emperor whose gold had built an empire, whose pilgrimage to Mecca had stunned the world. Everyone knew his story, how he gave away so much gold in Cairo that the markets crashed, how he made Timbuktu a city of scholars. But a vault, a forbidden vault. She'd never heard of such a thing, not in all her years studying Mali's history. The griots sang of Mansa Musa's wealth, his faith, his wisdom, but never of a shadow, never of something hidden beneath the earth. She traced the symbols with her finger, feeling the grooves. They weren't random. They reminded her of something, a map, maybe, or a code. Her mind raced. Was this a clue to a real place, a treasure, or something darker, like the warning suggested? She needed to show he'd know what to do. Amara slipped the tablet into her satchel and stood, her heart pounding. The library felt different now, the shadows deeper, the silence heavier. She blew out the lamp and hurried toward the main hall, her footsteps echoing too loudly in the quiet. As she passed a row of shelves, she heard a sound, a soft scrape, like a sandal on stone. She froze. "Gibril," she called, her voice small in the vast room. No answer. Just the wind outside, rattling the shutters. She took another step, then heard it again, closer this time. Her skin prickled. The library was supposed to be empty. Gibril had gone home hours ago, and the other scholars never stayed this late. She gripped her satchel tighter, the tablet's weight pressing against her side. "Who's there?" she said, louder now, trying to sound brave. Silence. Then, from the shadows near the door, a figure moved. It was tall, cloaked in dark robes, the face hidden beneath a hood. Amara's stomach twisted. She backed away, her eyes darting for an exit. The figure didn't speak, but it raised a hand, and something glinted in the dim light, a knife, or maybe a key. "Stay back," Amara shouted, her voice shaking. She turned and ran toward the back door, her sandals slipping on the stone floor. The figure didn't chase her, but she felt its eyes on her, cold and heavy, like a storm about to break. She burst through the door into the alley behind the library, the warm night air hitting her face. The streets of Timbuktu were quiet now, the market stalls empty. The only sound, the distant call of a night bird. Amara didn't stop running until she reached a small house on the edge of the city. She locked the door behind her, her chest heaving. The tablet was still in her satchel, its strange symbols burning in her mind. She lit a lamp and pulled it out, setting it on her table. The words stared back at her. "Only the brave seek it. Only the doomed find it." She should tell Gibril. She should take the tablet back to the library and forget she ever saw it. But something in her wouldn't let go. Mansa Musa had hidden this for a reason. A vault beneath the Mali Empire wasn't just a story, it was real, and it was dangerous. Amara wasn't a hero. She was just a scholar who loved books and truth. But the truth was calling her now, whispering from the dust of Timbuktu, and she couldn't ignore it. The next morning, she found Gibril waiting outside the library, his face pale. "Amara," he said, his voice low. "The chest in the back room, it's gone." Her heart sank. The scrolls, the tablet's hiding place, someone had taken them. She opened her mouth to tell him about the tablet, but the memory of the cloaked figure stopped her. Whoever was watching her last night knew she'd found something, and they wanted it. "Gibril," she said carefully, "have you ever heard of a vault under Timbuktu? Something Mansa Musa hid." His eyes widened, and for a moment, he looked older than she'd ever seen him. "Don't speak of that," he whispered. "Not here, not now." But it was too late. Amara had seen the tablet, felt its cold weight, read its warning. The secret of Mansa Musa's vault was hers now, and with it came danger she couldn't yet understand. That as she walked back into the library, the shadows seemed to move again, and the wind carried a new whisper, one that sounded like her name. Chapter 2. Shadows in the Sand. The first betrayal. Amara's hands wouldn't stop shaking as she sat in her small house, the black stone tablet glowing faintly in the lamplight. The words carved on its back, "Beneath the heart of Mali lies the vault of the king's shadow. Only the brave seek it. Only the doomed find it," felt like a warning meant just for her. The memory of the cloaked figure in the library last night made her stomach twist. Someone knew she'd found the tablet. Someone was watching. She hadn't told Gibril about the figure. His warning that morning, "Don't speak of that, not here, not now," had stopped her. The old librarian's face had been pale, his eyes darting like he expected trouble. The chest of scrolls was gone, stolen from the library's back room, and Amara was sure it was because of the tablet. She tucked it deeper into her satchel, hiding it under a cloth. She needed answers, but she couldn't do this alone. By noon, Amara stood at the edge of Timbuktu's bustling market, the air thick with the smell of spices and camel dung. Traders shouted, offering salt, cloth, and gold, while children darted through the crowd, laughing. She scanned the faces, looking for Kofi, a desert guide she'd known since she was a girl. Kofi was tall, with a quick smile and scars on his hands from years of crossing the Sahara. He knew every dune, every oasis, and every story the sand whispered. If anyone could help her find a vault hidden beneath Mali, it was him. She spotted him near a stall piled with dried dates, arguing with a merchant over the price of a water skin. "Kofi," she called, waving. He turned, his smile fading when he saw her face. "Amara, you look like you've seen a ghost," he said, his voice low and warm. He slung the water skin over his shoulder and walked over, his dark eyes searching hers. "What's wrong?" "Not here," she whispered, glancing around. The market was loud, but she felt eyes on her, like the cloaked figure was hiding in the crowd. She led Kofi to a quiet alley behind a potter's shop, where the noise faded to a hum. "I found something in the library," she said, keeping her voice low. "Something about Mansa Musa, a vault, hidden under Timbuktu. I think it's real." Kofi raised an eyebrow, his hand resting on the dagger at his belt. "A vault? Mansa Musa's gold is long gone. Amara, everyone knows that. You're chasing stories." "It's not just a story," she snapped, pulling the tablet from her satchel. She held it out, and Kofi's eyes widened as the strange symbols caught the sunlight, seeming to twist and shimmer. "This was hidden in a chest. Someone stole the rest of it last night, and someone followed me." Kofi's face hardened. He took the tablet, turning it over carefully. "These symbols, they're not normal. They look like the ones my grandmother used to draw, old signs from before the empire, protection marks or warnings." He handed it back, his jaw tight. "If this is real, Amara, it's dangerous. Mansa Musa didn't hide things for no reason." "No," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's why I need you. I need to find this vault, but I don't know where to start. You know the desert. You know the old paths." Kofi hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. "I've heard tales," he said finally. "Whispers from traders about a place under Timbuktu, a door no one opens. They say it's cursed, guarded by shadows that don't die." He looked at her, his eyes serious. "You sure you want to chase this?" Amara nodded, though her heart pounded. "I have to know what he hid. It's important." Kofi sighed. "Fine, but we need help. Someone who knows the old stories better than me." He paused, then said, "Zara, the Griot. She's in town, staying by the mosque. She knows things about Mansa Musa no one else does." Amara's stomach fluttered. Zara was a legend in Timbuktu, a Griot whose songs could make you feel the weight of 1,000 years. If anyone knew about the vault, it was her. "Let's go," Amara said, slinging her satchel over her shoulder. They found Zara sitting under a baobab tree near the Sanka mosque, her fingers plucking a small kora, its strings singing a haunting tune. She was old, her face lined like cracked earth, but her eyes were sharp as a hawk's. A small crowd listened, spellbound, as she sang of Mansa Musa's pilgrimage, his caravan stretching across the desert like a golden river. When the song ended, the crowd clapped and tossed coins into a clay bowl. Zara smiled, but her gaze locked on Amara and Kofi as they approached. "You two look like trouble," Zara said, her voice rich and warm, like honey over gravel. "What brings a scholar and a desert rat to my tree?" Amara glanced at Kofi, then leaned close, keeping her voice low. "We need your help, Zara. I found something in the library, a tablet, with a message about a vault under Timbuktu. It's tied to Mansa Musa." Zara's smile vanished. She set the kora down, her hands still. "A vault," she said softly, her eyes narrowing. "You don't know what you're meddling with, girl. Some secrets are meant to stay buried." "Please," Amara said, her voice urgent. "I need to know what it is. Someone's already after me. They stole a chest from the library last night." Zara's gaze flicked to Kofi, then back to Amara. "Show me," she said. Amara hesitated, then pulled the tablet from her satchel and handed it over. Zara's fingers traced the symbols, her lips moving silently, like she was reading something no one else could see. "This is old," she whispered. "Older than Mansa Musa. These marks, they're from the time of the Shadow Kings, before Molly was Molly." "Shadow Kings?" Kofi asked, leaning closer. "What's that mean?" Zara didn't answer right away. She handed the tablet back, her eyes dark. "There's a story," she said finally. "One the Griots don't sing in public. It says Mansa Musa found something in the desert, something he feared. He built a vault to hide it, deep under Timbuktu, and swore his court to secrecy. But someone betrayed him. Someone always does." Amara's heart raced. "What was it? What did he hide?" Zara shook her head. "I don't know. The story stops there. But if you found this tablet, you've stirred something up. You need to be careful." Before Amara could ask more, a shadow moved at the edge of the crowd. A man stood there, his face half hidden by a turban, his eyes glinting like polished stones. He was watching them, his hand resting on something under his cloaker knife. Maybe, or worse. Amara's breath caught. It wasn't the same figure from the library, but the feeling was the same. Cold, dangerous, like a snake waiting to strike. Kofi saw him too. He stepped in front of Amara, his hand on his dagger. "Zara," he said quietly. "Who's that?" Zara followed their gaze, and her face tightened. "Trouble," she muttered. "Get out of here, now." Amara didn't argue. She shoved the tablet into her satchel and grabbed Kofi's arm, pulling him toward the mosque's shadow. The man didn't follow, but his eyes stayed on them, burning through the crowd. They slipped into an alley, hearts pounding, the sound of Zara's chorus starting up again behind them, like she was covering their escape. "Who was that?" Amara whispered, her voice shaking. "I don't know," Kofi said, his jaw tight. "But he wasn't here for dates or songs. Someone's watching us, Amara, and I think it's because of that tablet." They stopped in a quiet corner, hidden by a stack of clay pots. Amara's mind spun. The tablet, the vault, the stolen chest, the cloaked figure, and now, this man. Who were they, and what did they want? She looked at Kofi, his face grim but steady. "We need to find the vault," she said. "Before they do." Kofi nodded, but his eyes were troubled. "Zara's right. This is bigger than us. And that story about a betrayal, what if it's not just a story? What if someone in Timbuktu still knows about the vault and doesn't want it found?" Amara swallowed hard. The tablet felt heavy in her satchel, like it was pulling her toward something she couldn't escape. She didn't know who to trust, not even Kofi, not completely. The first betrayal, Zara had said. Amara wondered if it would be the last. Chapter 3. The glowing symbol that shouldn't exist. Amara's heart pounded as she and Kofi slipped through Timbuktu's winding alleys. The night air thick with the scent of dust and jasmine. The man with the turban and glinting eyes had vanished into the market's crowd, but his stare lingered in her mind like a bad dream. She clutched her satchel, the black stone tablet inside, feeling heavier with every step. Its words beneath. "The heart of Mali lies the vault of the king's shadow," echoed in her head, urging her forward, even as fear told her to turn back. Kofi led the way, his steps quick and quiet, his hand never straying far from the dagger at his belt. "We can't go back to your house," he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. "If that man's following us, it's not safe." "Where, then?" Amara asked, her voice low. The alleys were dark, lit only by the faint glow of lamps from nearby houses. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound felt like a footstep. "Zara's place," Kofi said. "She knows more than she's saying. And she's got a room behind the mosque, where no one goes. We can talk there." Amara nodded, though her stomach twisted. Zara's warning about the vault and the betrayal in Mansa Musa's time made her uneasy. Could she trust the old griot? Could she even trust Kofi? He'd been her friend since they were kids, racing through the market, stealing dates from stalls. But the tablet changed everything. It wasn't just a clue, it was a secret someone was willing to kill for. They reached the Sanka Mosque, its mud-brick towers looming like silent giants against the starry sky. Zara's small house was tucked behind it, hidden by a low wall and a gnarled acacia tree. Kofi knocked softly on the door. 3 quick taps, then to slow ones a code. Amara realized. The door creaked open, and Zara's sharp eyes peered out, glinting in the moonlight. "Get inside," she said, her voice sharp. "You're bringing trouble to my door." They slipped into the small room, lit by a single oil lamp. The walls were lined with shelves holding clay pots, woven baskets, and a few tattered books. Zara shut the door and bolted it, her hands moving fast despite her age. "Show me that tablet again," she said, holding out a hand. Amara hesitated, then pulled the tablet from her satchel and placed it on the wooden table. In the lamplight, the carved symbols, spirals, and jagged lines seemed to pulse, like they were alive. Zara leaned closer, her breath catching. "This shouldn't exist," she muttered. "These marks, they're from the Shadow Kings, the ones who ruled before Mali. Mansa Musa destroyed their relics. Or so the stories say." "What are Shadow Kings?" Amara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zara sat back, her eyes distant. "Long before Mansa Musa, there were kings who worshipped things older than the stars. They carved symbols like these, to call on powers no one should touch. The griots say Mansa Musa found one of their secrets in the desert, a secret he locked away in a vault so deep no one would ever find it." Kofi frowned, crossing his arms. "If he locked it away, why is this tablet here? And why is someone stealing chests and following Amara?" Zara's gaze flicked to the door, like she expected someone to burst through. Because someone else knows, she said. Someone who wants what's in that vault, and they'll do anything to get it. Amara's fingers traced the tablet's symbols, her heart racing. They weren't just carvings, they glowed faintly, a sickly green light that made her skin crawl. Look, she said, holding the tablet closer to the lamp. The glow grew brighter, and the symbols seemed to shift, forming a pattern that looked like a map, a spiral at the center, lines branching out like rivers, and a single star marking a spot just outside Timbuktu. Kofi leaned over her shoulder, his breath warm on her cheek. That's the old well, he said, pointing to the star. The one near the camel pens. It's been dry for years, but traders say it's cursed. No one goes near it. Amara's mind spun. A well could hide a door, a tunnel, maybe even the vault itself. We have to check it, she said, her voice firm despite the fear clawing at her chest. Zara grabbed her arm, her grip surprisingly strong. You don't understand, girl. That vault isn't just gold or jewels. It's something Mansa Musa feared, something that could break the world if it's opened. Then why hide it? Amara shot back. If it's so dangerous, why not destroy it? Zara let go, her eyes dark. Because some things can't be destroyed, only hidden. Before Amara could argue, a sharp crack split the airstone, hitting the door. Kofi spun, his dagger out in a flash. Another crack, louder, then the sound of footsteps crunching outside. Zara blew out the lamp, plunging the room into darkness. Quiet, she hissed. Amara's heart hammered as she clutched the tablet. The footsteps stopped, and a low voice called through the door, soft but cold as a blade. Give us the stone, scholar, or we burn the house with you in it. Kofi pulled Amara toward the back wall, where a woven mat hid a small crawl space. Go, he whispered, pushing her toward it. I'll hold them off. No, Amara whispered back, her voice shaking. We stay together. Zara shoved them both toward the crawl space. Move, fools, she snapped. I've lived long enough. You to find that vault before they do. Amara hesitated, but Kofi grabbed her hand and pulled her into the crawl space. It was tight, smelling of earth and old wood. They crawled through, emerging into a narrow alley behind the mosque. The night was quiet now, but Amara could hear shouts from Zara's house, followed by the crackle of fire. Her stomach twisted. Zara was in danger because of her. Kofi pulled her to her feet. We can't help her now, he said, his voice hard. The well's our only lead. We go there, tonight. Amara nodded, though guilt weighed her down. The tablet was still in her satchel, its glow seeping through the cloth like a beacon. The well wasn't far, but every step felt like walking into a trap. Who were these people? How did they know about the tablet? And what was in the vault that was worth burning a house, and maybe a city for? As they hurried through the dark, the glowing symbol on the tablet seemed to pulse in time with Amara's heartbeat. She didn't know if it was leading her to answers or to doom, but she couldn't stop now. Mansa Musa's secret was calling, and the shadows were closing in. Chapter 4. The Door That Bleeds. Starlight. Amara's breath came in short gasps as she and Kofi ran through Timbuktu's dark alleys, the distant crackle of fire from Zara's house echoing in her ears. The black stone tablet in her satchel felt like a weight pulling her toward danger, its faint green glow seeping through the cloth. The old well, the one Kofi said was cursedly just outside the city, near the camel pens. Its star-shaped mark on the tablet's map burned in Amara's mind, promising answers or doom. The streets grew quieter as they left the city behind, the mud brick houses giving way to open sand. The night was cool, the sky a blanket of stars, but Amara felt no peace. Zara's words about the Shadow Kings and Mansa Musa's fear rang in her head. What could scare a man who ruled an empire of gold? And who were the people chasing them, ready to burn a house to get the tablet? Kofi moved fast, his long legs eating up the ground. The well's just ahead, he whispered, pointing to a low stone wall half buried in sand. The camel pens were empty, the animals asleep, their snores mixing with the soft whistle of the wind. Amara's heart pounded as they reached the well, its mouth a dark circle in the moonlight. The stones around it were cracked, worn by time, and carved with faint spirals that matched the tablet's symbols. It's real, Amara said, her voice shaking. She pulled the tablet out, its glow brighter now, like it knew it was close to home. The star symbol pulsed, and when she held it near the well, The spirals on the stones began to shimmer, a sickly green light crawling across them like veins. Kofi knelt by the well, running his fingers over the stones. "These aren't normal carvings," he said, his voice tight. "They're too deep, too perfect, like something cut them with fire." Amara leaned over the well, peering into its darkness. No water glinted below, just a black void that seemed to swallow the moonlight. "The tablet said the vault's beneath the heart of Molly," she said. "This has to be it." A way down. Kofi grabbed a rope from his pack and tied it to a nearby post. "If we're doing this, we do it now," he said, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Those men from Zara's house, they'll come looking." Amara nodded, though her stomach churned. She didn't want to think about Zara, trapped in a burning house because of her. She tucked the tablet back into her satchel and grabbed the rope, her hands sweaty. Kofi went first, sliding down into the wells. Darkness, his dagger glinting as he disappeared. Amara followed, the rope rough against her palms, the air growing colder as she descended. The well was deeper than she'd expected, the walls slick with moss and something stickier like sap. Her feet hit solid ground, and she squinted in the dim light. Kofi stood beside her, holding a small torch he'd lit from his pack. The flame cast shadows on the walls, revealing more spirals and strange, jagged lines that seemed to writhe in the flickering light. "This isn't a well," Kofi whispered. "It's a tunnel." Ahead, the passage sloped downward, carved from black stone that drank the torchlight. Amara's heart raced as she followed Kofi, the tablet's glow pulsing in her satchel like a heartbeat. The air grew heavy, thick with a strange smell like metal and something sour, like old blood. The tunnel ended at a massive stone door, taller than 2 men, its surface covered in the same spirals and stars as the tablet. But these carvings glowed brighter, and thin streams of light, silvery like starlight, seeped from the cracks, dripping to the floor like liquid. Amara's breath caught. "The door that bleeds starlight," she whispered, the tablet's warning echoing in her mind. "Only the brave seek it. Only the doomed find it." Kofi stepped closer, his torch shaking. "This isn't natural," he said. "Look at it. It's alive." The light from the door pulsed, slow and steady, like a sleeping giant's breath. Amara reached out, her fingers hovering over a spiral carving. The moment she touched it, the glow flared, and a low hum filled the air, vibrating. In her bones, images flashed in her mind: a desert under a red sky, a figure in golden robes holding a glowing orb, and eyes, countless eyes, watching from the stars. She stumbled back, gasping, her hand burning like she'd touched fire. Amara, Kofi, grabbed her arm, pulling her away. "What happened?" "I saw something," she said, her voice trembling. "A vision, Mansa Musa, maybe, and something else, something watching." Before Kofi could answer, a sound echoed from the tunnel behind them, a scrape of boots on stone. Someone was coming. Kofi doused the torch, plunging them into darkness, except for the door's eerie glow. Amara's heart pounded as she pressed against the wall, Kofi's hand tight on her arm. The footsteps grew louder, then stopped. Her voice, low and rough, cut through the silence. "They're here. Find them. The tablet can't leave this place." Amara's blood ran cold. The men from Zara's house, they'd followed them. She whispered to Kofi, "We have to open the door. It's our only way out." Kofi shook his head, his face pale in the starlight. "You saw what happened when you touched it. What if it's a trap?" "We don't have a choice," Amara said, her voice fierce despite her fear. She pulled the tablet from her satchel and held it up to the door. The symbols on both flared, the glow so bright it stung her eyes. The door shuddered, stone grinding against stone, and began to open. The starlight pouring out like a river. Beyond the door was a chamber, its walls black and shimmering, like they were made of night itself. In the center stood a stone pedestal, and on it a single object, a small round orb that pulsed with the same green light as the tablet. Amara's breath hitched. Was this what Mansa Musa hid? A treasure, a weapon, or something worse? The footsteps were closer now, voices shouting in the tunnel. Amara grabbed Kofi's hand and pulled him through the door just as it slammed shut. Behind them, the sound echoing like thunder. The chamber was silent, the orb's glow the only light. But as Amara stepped closer, she felt it again, those eyes from her vision, watching, waiting. The vault was open, but the real danger was just beginning. Chapter 5. The griot's tale of a cursed king. Amara's heart thundered as she stood in the vault's dark chamber. the glowing orb on the stone pedestal casting eerie green light across the black walls. The door behind her and Kofi had slammed shut, sealing them inside with a sound like a tomb closing. The air was cold, heavy with the same metallic, sour smell she'd noticed in the tunnel. Her satchel hung heavy at her side, the black stone tablet inside pulsing faintly, as if it were alive and talking to the orb. Kofi gripped his dagger, his eyes darting to the door. "They're out there," he whispered, his voice tight. "Those men, they'll break through soon." Amara nodded, her throat dry. The voices from the tunnel had faded, but she could still hear the faint scrape of metal on stone, like someone was trying to pry the door open. She forced her gaze back to the orb. It was small, no bigger than an apple, but its light moved like water, swirling with shapes that made her dizzy as spirals, stars, and something that looked like eyes. "This is what Mansa Musa hid," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But why?" Kofi stepped closer, his torch flickering. "It's not gold," he said, frowning. "It's not a weapon either. It feels wrong." Amara reached out, her fingers hovering over the orb. The moment she got close, the light flared, and another vision hit her like a wave. She saw Mansa Musa, his golden robes tattered, standing in a desert under a sky cracked with red lightning. He held the orb, his face twisted with fear, and a voice not human, not animal, whispered words she couldn't understand. Amara gasped, pulling her hand back, her heart racing. "What did you see?" Kofi asked, grabbing her shoulder. "Mansa Musa," she said, her voice shaking. He was scared. Something was talking to him, something bad. Before Kofi could answer, a loud thud shook the door, dust falling from the ceiling. The pursuers were close. Amara's eyes darted around the chamber, searching for another way out. The walls were smooth, carved with more spirals and stars, but one corner looked different. A small alcove, barely visible, with a faint outline of a door. "There," she said, pointing. They ran to the alcove, Kofi holding the torch high. The outline was a door, smaller than the first, its surface rough and unmarked, except for a single spiral. Amara pressed the tablet against it, hoping it would work like before. The spiral glowed, and the door creaked open, revealing a narrow tunnel sloping upward. But as they stepped toward it, a voice called from behind, not from the door, but from the shadows of the chamber. "Amara," it said, soft and sharp, like a blade wrapped in silk. "You can't run forever." Amara froze, her blood turning to ice. It was Zara's voice. She turned, and there was the old griot, standing near the pedestal, her face half lit by the orb's glow. Her eyes were wrung too bright, like polished amber, and her smile was cold. "Zara," Amara stammered. "How your house was burning." Zara's smile didn't waver. "Fire doesn't stop the truth," she said. "You found the vault, but you don't know what it holds. Let me tell you a story, a griot's tale no one else dares sing." Kofi stepped in front of Amara, his dagger raised. "Stay back," he warned. "You're not Zara." The griot laughed, a sound that echoed strangely in the chamber. "I'm Zara enough," she said. "Listen, scholar, before it's too late. Long ago, Mansa Musa found a power in the desert, a light that promised knowledge beyond the stars. He thought he could control it, use it to make Mali eternal. But it cursed him. It showed him truths that broke his heart, truths he locked in this vault so no one else would suffer." Amara's mind raced. "The orb?" she asked, glancing at the pedestal. "Is that the power?" Zara nodded, her amber eyes glinting. "The orb is a key, but not to treasure. It opens a door to something older than the Shadow Kings, something that watches and waits. Mansa Musa swore to keep it hidden, but someone betrayed him, a friend, a brother, someone close. That betrayal lives on, and you've woken it." A louder thud shook the main door, and a crack appeared in the stone. Kofi grabbed Amara's arm. "We need to go now." But Amara couldn't move, her eyes locked on Zara. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Are you helping them?" Zara's smile faded. "I'm here to warn you," she said. "The vault's secret will destroy you if you don't let it go. Give me the tablet, Amara. Walk away." Amara's hand tightened on her satchel. "No," she said, her voice firm despite her fear. "I need to know the truth." Zara sighed, and for a moment her eyes looked human again, filled with sadness. "Then you're as cursed as he was," she said. She stepped back into the shadows, and when Amara blinked, she was gone, like she'd never been there. The door cracked again, louder, and voices shouted outside. Kofi pulled Amara toward the alcove's tunnel. "Move," he hissed. They scrambled. Through the narrow door, the tablet's glow lighting their way. The tunnel was tight, the walls pressing in, carved with more symbols that seemed to pulse in time with the orb's light. Amara's mind spun with Zara's words: cursed king, a betrayed trust, a power older than the stars. What had Mansa Musa found, and why was it worth so much death? As they climbed, the air grew warmer, and a faint light appeared ahead. The tunnel opened into a small cave, its mouth hidden by thorny bushes. They pushed through, emerging into the desert just outside Timbuktu, the city's lights twinkling in the distance. The night was quiet, but Amara felt no relief. Zara's warning, the orb's vision, and the men chasing them, they were all tied to the vault, and she was caught in the middle. Kofi doused his torch, his face grim. "Zara, whatever that was knew too much," he said. "And those men aren't giving up. We need to find out what this orb does before they catch us." Amara nodded, clutching the tablet. The glow in her satchel was fainter now, but it still felt alive, like it was calling to something or someone. She didn't know if Zara was friend or foe, but one thing was clear. The vault's secret was bigger than she'd ever imagined, and it was pulling her deeper into a curse she might not escape. Chapter 6. The trap beneath the earth. Amara's lungs burned as she and Kofi stumbled out of the cave into the cool desert night. The lights of Timbuktu flickering like stars in the distance. The black stone tablet in her satchel pulsed faintly, its green glow a constant reminder of the vault they'd just escaped on, the orb they'd left behind. Zara's words echoed in her mind: a cursed king, a betrayed trust, a power older than the stars. Amara's heart raced, not just from running but from the weight of what they'd found. The vault wasn't a myth, it was real, and it was dangerous. Kofi crouched behind a thorny bush, his eyes scanning the dark horizon. "We can't stay here," he whispered, his voice low and urgent. "Those men from the vault, they'll find the tunnel. We need to move." Amara nodded, her throat tight. The image of Zara, whatever that was standing in the vault, with those unnatural amber eyes, haunted her. Was the Griot helping them, or was she part of the trap? And the orb, glowing on its pedestal like a living thing, what was it? A key, Zara had said, but to what? Amara clutched her satchel, the tablet's weight grounding her. "Where do we go?" she asked. "We can't go back to the city." "Not yet." Kofi stood, his dagger glinting in the moonlight. "There's a place," he said. "An old trader's camp, a day's walk from here. It's hidden in the dunes. We can rest, figure out what this tablet means." He hesitated, his eyes meeting hers. "But we need to go back to the vault, Amara. That orbit's what they're after." Amara's stomach twisted. The thought of returning to that chamber, with its bleeding starlight and watching eyes, made her skin crawl. But Kofi was right. The orb was the key to Mansa Musa's secret, and they couldn't let their pursuers get it first. "Okay," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "But we need to understand the tablet. It's a map, I'm sure of it." They started walking, keeping low to avoid being seen. The desert was quiet, the sand soft under their sandals, but every rustle of wind felt like footsteps. Amara kept the tablet close, its glow hidden under her cloak. The symbols on its stars and jagged lines seemed to shift when she glanced at them, like they were trying to speak. She wished she could show it to Gibril, the old librarian, but after Zara's house burned, she wasn't sure who to trust. By dawn, they reached the trader's camp, a cluster of crumbling mud huts, half buried in the dunes. The air was cooler here, the silence broken only by the buzz of insects. Kofi led her to a small hut with a sagging roof, its door long gone. Inside, they found a dusty mat and a broken clay pot. Kofi set his pack down and pulled out a water skin, offering it to Amara. "Rest," he said. "We'll figure this out." Amara sat, pulling the tablet from her satchel. In the dim light, the symbols glowed brighter, and the star mark seemed to point to a new spatter circle with a line through it, like an eye. "Kofi," she said, her voice excited. "Look at this. It's changing. The map's showing us something new." Kofi leaned over, his brow furrowed. "That's no trader's mark," he said. "That's old, like the Shadow King Zara talked about. It could mean another entrance to the vault." Amara's heart leaped. Another entrance meant they could get back to the orb without facing the men at the well. But before she could say more, a sharp click echoed in the hut. The floor beneath them shifted, and a trapdoor opened, dropping them into darkness. Amara screamed as they fell, landing hard on a stone floor below. Pain shot through her arm, but she clung to the tablet, its glow lighting up a narrow tunnel. Kofi groaned beside her, rubbing his head. "What was that?" he muttered, scrambling to his feet. Amara stood, her legs shaky. The tunnel was carved from the same black stone as the vault, its walls etched with spirals that pulsed with green light. But something was wrong. The air felt thick, and a low hum vibrated through the ground, like a heartbeat. "It's a trap," she whispered, her eyes wide. The tablet, it must have triggered it. Kofi grabbed his dagger, his face pale. "Or someone set it for us," he said. He pointed to the floor, where a thin wire glinted, barely visible. This wasn't an accident. Before they could move, the walls rumbled, and a stone slab began to slide across the tunnel ahead, sealing them in. Amara's heart pounded as she ran forward, searching for a way to stop it. Her fingers brushed, a spiral carving, and the tablet flared in her hands, its light blinding. The slab froze, but a new sound filled the tunneler, grinding, like blades sharpening. From the walls, sharp spikes began to emerge, inching closer with every second. "Kofi," Amara shouted, backing away. "We have to find a way out." Kofi grabbed her hand, pulling her toward a narrow gap in the wall where the spikes hadn't reached yet. They squeezed through, the tablet's glow lighting their path. The tunnel twisted downward, deeper into the earth, and the air grew colder, the metallic smell stronger. At the end was another door, smaller, its surface carved with a single eye-like symbol that matched the tablet's new mark. Amara pressed the tablet against the door, and it opened with a groan, revealing a small chamber. Inside, a stone table held a single object, a tattered scroll, its edges burned. Amara's breath caught as she unrolled it, revealing words in Old Arabic. "The king's shadow guards the light. Trust no one, for betrayal lives in the heart." Kofi's eyes narrowed. "Betrayal again," he said. Zara said someone close to Mansa Musa turned on him. What if they're still out there, protecting the vault? Amara's mind raced. The scroll, the trap, the orbit was all connected. But as she tucked the scroll into her satchel, a shadow moved at the tunnel's entrance. A figure stood there, cloaked, its face hidden. "You should have listened to the Griot," it said, its voice cold and sharp. "Now the vault will claim you." The spikes began to move again, faster this time, and Amara realized the trap wasn't done. They were running out of time, and the truth about Mansa Musa's curse was closer and more deadly than ever. Chapter 7. The relic that whispers in the dark. Amara's heart pounded like a drum as the stone spikes inched closer, their sharp tips glinting in the green glow of the tablet in her hand. The cloaked figure's words, "Now the vault will claim you," echoed in the small chamber, cold and final. The air was thick with the metallic, sour smell of the vault, and the walls seemed to pulse with the same eerie light as the tablet. Kofi stood beside her, his dagger raised, his eyes locked, on the shadowed figure at the tunnel's entrance. The tattered scroll they'd found on the stone table, with its warning of betrayal, was stuffed into Amara's satchel, but there was no time to think about it now. "Move," Kofi shouted, shoving Amara toward the chamber's far wall. The spikes were grinding faster, closing the gap. Amara's sandals slipped on the slick stone floor as she ran, her satchel bouncing against her hip. The cloaked figure didn't follow, but its laugh low and sharp cut through the noise of the moving walls. Amara's eyes darted around the chamber, searching for an escape. The walls were smooth, carved with spirals and stars, but one spot caught her eye, a small, round hole near the floor, barely big enough for her hand. It glowed faintly, like the tablet. "Kofi, here," she called, dropping to her knees. She pressed the tablet against the hole, and the glow flared, blinding her for a moment. The spikes stopped, the grinding fading to silence, but a new sound rose, a low, whispering hum, like voices speaking words she couldn't understand. Kofi knelt beside her, his breath ragged. "What did you do?" he asked, his voice tense. "I don't know," Amara said, her hands shaking. The tablet was warm now, almost hot, and the hole in the wall began to widen, stone sliding back to reveal a hidden alcove. Inside was a relic, a small, black metal box, no bigger than a book, its surface etched with the same spirals as the tablet. It glowed with a faint green light, and the whispers grew louder, filling Amara's head with strange, broken words. "Find, see, beware." She reached for the box, but Kofi grabbed her wrist. "Don't touch it," he said, his eyes wide. "That thing, it's like the orb. It's not safe." Amara pulled her hand back, her heart racing. The orb in the vault's main chamber had given her a vision of Mansa Musa, scared and alone, holding a glowing object. This box felt the same, alive, dangerous, tied to the curse Zara had warned about. "We can't leave it," she said. "If those men get it, they'll use it, whatever it is." Kofi's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Fine, but be quick. That figure's still out there." Amara carefully lifted the box, its metal cold against her skin. The whispers grew sharper, like a crowd murmuring just out of reach. She tucked it into her satchel with the tablet and scroll, her fingers trembling. The alcove's wall rumbled, and a new tunnel opened, its path sloping upward. "Another way out," she said, hope flickering in her chest. They ran into the tunnel, the whispers following like ghosts. The path was narrow, the walls slick with that strange, sticky sap Amara had noticed before. The air grew warmer, and a faint light glowed ahead, moonlight, maybe, or something else. But as they rounded a bend, the ground shook, and a new trap sprang to life. Stone blocks dropped from the ceiling, crashing down with a force that sent dust billowing around them. "Run!" Kofi yelled, pulling Amara forward. They dodged a falling block, its edge grazing Amara's arm, leaving a stinging cut. The tunnel twisted, and the whispers from the box grew louder, forming words now: betrayer, shadow, king. Amara's head spun, the voices pulling at her thoughts, making it hard to focus. They reached a small chamber, the tunnel sealed. Behind them, by the fallen stones, the only way out was a narrow ledge above a deep pit, its bottom lost in darkness. Across the pit, a door glowed with the same starlight as the vault's entrance, its surface carved with an eye-like symbol. Amara's satchel felt heavier, the box and tablet pulsing in sync with the door's light. "We have to cross," Amara said, her voice shaking. The ledge was barely wide enough for one person, and the pit below whispered with the same eerie voices as the box. Kofi tested the ledge with his foot, his face grim. "It's old. It might not hold us." He looked at her, his eyes serious. "You're sure about this, Amara? That box, those voices, they're not right." Amara swallowed hard, the whispers clawing at her mind. "Mansa Musa hid this for a reason," she said. "We need to know why. For Zara, for Timbuktu." She didn't mention the fear gnawing at her, the fear that Zara might not have been Zara at all. Kofi nodded, stepping onto the ledge first, his back pressed against the wall. Amara followed, her heart in her throat, the box's whispers growing louder with every step. Halfway across, the ledge cracked, and Amara gasped as pebbles fell into the pit, the sound echoing far below. Kofi grabbed her hand, steadying her. "Keep going," he said, his voice firm. They reached the door, and Amara pressed the tablet against the eye symbol. The starlight flared, and the door opened, revealing a sandy cave lit by moonlight. They stumbled out, collapsing onto the desert floor, the city's lights faint in the distance. But the whispers didn't stop. Amara opened her satchel, and the box's glow was brighter now, its surface warm. The voices spoke clearly. "The shadow wakes, the betrayer walks." Kofi's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" he asked, his voice low. Amara didn't answer. Her eyes caught a shadow moving in the dunes, a figure, cloaked, watching them. It didn't approach, but its presence felt like a blade at her throat. The vault's traps were deadly, but the real danger was out here, in the sand, waiting for them to make their next move. Chapter 8. The Blood Oath of the Molly caught Amara's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the cloaked figure in the dunes, its silhouette sharp against the moonlit sand. The black metal box in her satchel whispered, its eerie words: "The shadow wakes, the betrayer walks," twisting in her mind like a thorn. The tablet and the tattered scroll, both tucked beside the box, felt heavy, as if Mansa Musa's secrets were pulling her deeper into danger. Kofi crouched beside her, his dagger ready, his eyes locked on the figure. "We need to move," he whispered, his voice low and urgent. "Now." Amara nodded, her heart pounding. The desert stretched around them, vast and empty, with lights a faint glow in the distance. They scrambled to their feet, keeping low to avoid the figure's gaze. The box's whispers grew louder, a soft chant that made her head ache. She didn't know what it was, a relic, a curse, or something worse, but it was tied to the vault, and the cloaked figure wanted it. They ran toward a cluster of rocks, their shadows dancing in the moonlight. The air was cool, but Amara's skin burned with fear. The figure didn't follow, but she felt its eyes, cold and heavy, like a storm waiting to break. They ducked behind a boulder, catching their breath. Kofi peeked out, his face grim. "It's gone," he said. "But it knows we're here. We can't stay long." Amara opened her satchel, pulling out the scroll they'd found in the vault's chamber. Its edges were burned, the old Arabic script faint but readable. She held it close, squinting in the dim light. The words spoke of betrayal, of a king's shadow guarding a light. But there was more, a single line that made her blood run cold. The court swore a blood oath to protect the vault, bound by the king's will, even unto death. "A blood oath," Amara whispered, her voice shaking. "Mansa Musa made his court swear to guard the vault, forever." Kofi's eyes narrowed. "That's why they're after us," he said. "Someone's still keeping that oath, or breaking it." Amara's mind raced. A blood oath meant loyalty beyond life, a promise sealed in sacrifice. If Mansa Musa's court had sworn it, their descendants might still be out there, guarding the vault or hunting anyone who got too close. She looked at the box, its green glow seeping through her satchel. The whispers were clearer now, forming a name, Kita. It wasn't a word she knew, but it sent a shiver down her spine. "We need to read the rest of this scroll," she said, her voice firm despite the fear. "It's a clue. Maybe it tells us what the box does or who Kita is." Kofi nodded, but his eyes flicked to the dunes. "Not here," he said. "We need a safe place. There's a Griot's camp a few hours away, hidden in a dry riverbed. They'll know about oaths and old names." They moved quickly, the sand crunching under their sandals. The whispers from the box followed, a constant murmur that made Amara's head throb. She kept the scroll tight in her hand, its words burning. In her mind, a blood oath, a betrayer, a shadow. What had Mansa Musa hidden that needed such a terrible promise? The Griot's camp was a small circle of tents, their cloth flapping softly in the wind. A fire glowed in the center, casting shadows on the faces of 3 old men, their fingers tracing patterns in the sand. They looked up as Amara and Kofi approached, their eyes sharp despite their age. "You bring trouble," one said, his voice rough like gravel. "The desert speaks of you." Amara hesitated, then stepped forward. "We need help," she said, holding up the scroll. "We found something, a vault, a relic, a secret from Mansa Musa's time. People are chasing us for it." The oldest, Griot, his beard white as moonlight, took the scroll and unrolled it. His eyes widened as he read, his fingers trembling. "The blood oath," he muttered. "The court of Moli swore to guard the vault's light, a power Mansa Musa found in the desert. They said it came from the stars, a gift and a curse. One man, Kita, his closest advisor, broke the oath. He tried to take the light for himself." Heart skipped. "Kita," she said. "The box, it whispers that name." The Griot's face darkened. "Then you found something dangerous," he said. "Kita's betrayal cursed the vault. His bloodline carries that curse, watching the vault to this day. If you have their relic, they'll kill to get it back." Before Amara could ask more, a shadow moved at the camp's edge. Kofi spun, his dagger out, but it was too late. A cloaked figure stepped into the firelight, its face hidden, a curved blade glinting in its hand. "The scroll," it hissed. "The box. Give them to me." The Griots stood, their hands raised, chanting soft words like a prayer. Amara clutched her satchel, the box's whispers growing frantic. "Kita, betrayer, run." Kofi grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the tents, but the figure moved faster, cutting them off. Its cloak fell back, revealing a face scarred and pale, eyes glowing amber like Zara's had in the vault. "You can't hide from the oath," the figure said, its voice cold. "The vault's light belongs to us." Amara's legs shook, but she held the satchel tight. The Griot's chant grew louder, and the fire flared, casting wild shadows. The figure flinched, as if the light hurt it. Kofi seized the moment, shoving Amara toward the riverbed. "Run," he shouted. They sprinted into the dark, the Griot's voices fading behind them. The figure's footsteps crunched in the sand, closer with every second. Amara's satchel bounced, the box's whispers a scream in her mind. The blood oath was real, and its keepers were hunting them. The vault's secret was no longer just a mystery, it was a curse that could swallow them whole. Chapter 9. The map that moves under moonlight. Amara's lungs burned as she and Kofi raced through the desert. The Griot's camp, a fading glow behind them. The black metal box in her satchel whispered frantically, its eerie chant, "Kita, betrayer, run X," mixing with the crunch of sand under their sandals. The tablet and the tattered scroll, tucked beside the box, felt like anchors, tying her to Mansa Musa's curse. The cloaked figures, amber eyes and cold words, "The vault's light belongs to us," chased her thoughts, making her heart pound harder than her feet on the ground. Kofi ran beside her, his dagger still in hand, his eyes scanning the dark. "Dunes, keep moving," he whispered, his voice rough. "That thing won't stop." Amara nodded, her throat too dry to speak. The Griot's chant had held the figure back, but she could still hear its footsteps, faint but steady, like a hunter tracking prey. The desert was vast, the moonlight casting long shadows that twisted into shapes, faces, hands, eyes. She clutched her satchel, the box's whispers growing louder, urging her to run faster. They ducked into a narrow ravine, its walls jagged and cool. Kofi pulled her behind a rock, his breath heavy. "We need to lose them," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "But we can't keep running blind. That tablet, you said it's a map. Can it show us where to go?" Amara's hands shook as she opened her satchel and pulled out the black stone tablet. Its surface glowed with a sickly green light, the spirals and stars pulsing like a heartbeat. In the moonlight, the symbols seemed to move, the star mark shifting to a new Sparta curved line with a dot, like a crescent moon. "It's changing," she said, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "The map, it moves under moonlight." Kofi leaned closer, his eyes wide. "That's no trader's mark," he said. "That's the old oasis, a day's walk from here. It's dry now, but my grandmother said it was sacred once, a place where spirits spoke." Amara's heart raced. A sacred oasis could hide another entrance to the vaultor. Answers about the box and its whispers. The scroll's words about the blood, oath, and Kita's betrayal burned in her mind. If the oasis was tied to Mansa Musa's secret, they had to find it. "We go there," she said, her voice firm despite the fear clawing at her chest. Kofi hesitated, his eyes flicking to the ravine's entrance. "If we move, they'll see us," he said. "That figure, it's not human, Amara. Not with those eyes." Amara swallowed hard, remembering Zara's amber gaze in the vault. "Then we move fast," she said. "The tablet's showing us the way. We can't stop now." They slipped out of the ravine, keeping low, the moonlight their only guide. The tablet's glow lit the path, its symbols shifting with every step, like the desert itself was drawing the map. The whispers from the box grew sharper, forming new words: seek, light, beware. Amara's head throbbed, the voices pulling at her thoughts, but she kept moving, driven by the need to know what Mansa Musa had hidden. Hours passed, the desert growing colder, the stars brighter. The oasis appeared as a dark smudge on the horizon, a cluster of withered palms around a dry basin. As they approached, the tablet's glow flared, and a new symbol appeared, a spiral with an eye at its center, carved into a flat stone at the oasis's edge. Amara knelt, brushing sand away, and gasped. The stone was part of a larger circle, its edges etched with the same symbols as the vault's door. "It's here," she whispered. "Another entrance." Kofi's eyes darted around, his dagger ready. "Or another trap," he said. "We need to be careful." Amara pressed the tablet against the stone, and the ground rumbled, sand falling away to reveal a hidden staircase, spiraling downward. The whispers from the box surged, a chorus of voices now, chanting Kita, light, betrayer. But before they could descend, a shadow moved among the palms, a cloaked figure, its amber eyes glinting in the moonlight. It held a curved blade, its edge catching the light like a cruel smile. "You can't escape the oath," it said, its voice a hiss. "The map belongs to us." Amara's heart stopped. The figure was alone, but its presence felt like a storm, heavy and unstoppable. Kofi stepped in front of her, his dagger raised. "Stay back," he growled. "You're not getting her." The figure laughed, a sound that made Amara's skin crawl. "The girl is nothing," it said. "The light is everything. Give me the box, or the desert drinks your blood." Amara's hand tightened on her satchel, the box's whispers screaming now. She didn't know what the light was, but it was tied to the vault, to Mansa Musa, to the curse that haunted them. She glanced at the staircase, its dark mouth promising answers saw death. "Kofi," she whispered, "we have to go down. It's our only chance." Kofi nodded, his eyes never leaving the figure. "Run," he said, shoving her toward the stairs. Amara stumbled down the first steps, the tablet's glow lighting the way. Kofi followed, but the figure moved fast, its blade flashing as it lunged. The staircase shook, and a stone slab began to slide across the entrance, sealing them in amber. Scream echoed as the slab closed. The figure's amber eyes, the last thing she saw. The whispers from the box filled the dark, chanting a warning she couldn't ignore. The map moves, but the betrayer follows. They were in the vault again, but the real trap was waiting below. Chapter 10. The stranger with eyes of gold. Amara's heart hammered as the stone slab sealed the staircase, trapping her and Kofi in the dark. The green glow from the black stone tablet in her satchel lit the narrow tunnel, its spirals and stars, pulsing like a living thing. The black metal box, tucked beside the tablet, and the tattered scroll, whispered fiercely, its eerie words. The map moves, but the betrayer follows, ringing in her ears. The cloaked figure's amber eyes and cruel blade flashed in her mind. But the silence now was worse, like the vault itself was holding its breath. Kofi gripped his dagger, his face pale in the tablet's glow. "We're in deep now," he whispered, his voice tight. "That figureite's not giving up. We need to keep moving." Amara nodded, her throat dry. The tunnel sloped downward, its walls carved with the same strange symbols they'd seen before: spirals, stars, and eyes that seemed to watch them. The air was cold, thick with that sour metallic smell, and the box's whispers grew louder, chanting Kita, light, danger. Her head throbbed, but she pushed forward, driven by the need to understand Mansa Musa's secret and why it was worth killing for. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. The floor was a mosaic of black stones, forming a giant spiral that glowed faintly green. In the center stood a tall figure, cloaked in dark robes, its back to them. Amara froze, her hand tightening on her satchel. This wasn't the figure from the Oasis hits. Cloak was different, edged with gold thread, and it held no blade. But something about it felt wrong, like a shadow cast by no light. Kofi stepped in front of her, his dagger raised. "Who are you?" he called, his voice echoing in the chamber. The figure turned slowly, and Amara's breath caught. Its face was hidden by a hood, but its eyes glowed gold, bright and unnatural, like molten metal. "You carry the light," it said, its voice deep and smooth, like a river hiding sharp rocks. "The box, the tablet, you've brought them to me." Amara's heart raced. "We're not giving you anything," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "Who are you? Why are you here?" The figure stepped closer, its golden eyes locked on her. "I am a keeper of the oath," it said. "Mansa Musa swore us to guard the vault's light, to keep its power from the world. But Kita betrayed that oath, and his bloodline hunts you now. The box you carry, it calls to them." Amara's mind spun. The scroll had mentioned a blood oath, and the Griots had spoken of Kita, the advisor who turned against Mansa Musa. "The Amber-eyed ones," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "They're Kita's bloodline." The figure nodded, its eyes glinting. "They seek the light to claim its power, but it is a curse, not a gift. Mansa Musa saw truths that broke him, truths from beyond the stars. He locked them here, in this vault, and we swore to protect it." Kofi's grip on his dagger tightened. "If you're a keeper, why don't you stop them?" he asked. "Why let them chase us?" The figure's eyes dimmed, and its voice grew heavy. "The oath binds us, but it weakens. Kita's betrayal cracked our strength. I cannot fight them alone. But you've opened the vault. You can end this." Amara's hand brushed the box in her satchel, its whispers surging. "Light, truth, beware." "What is the light?" she asked. "What does the box do?" The figure raised a hand, pointing to the spiral mosaic on the floor. "The light shows what lies beyond," it said, "but to see it is to risk everything. Place the box in the spiral's heart, and the vault will reveal its truth. But beware, Kita's bloodline is close." A loud crack echoed from the tunnel behind them, stone grinding against stone. The amber-eyed figure, or another like it, had found the staircase. Footsteps echoed, fast and heavy. Kofi grabbed Amara's arm. "We don't have time," he said. "What do we do?" Amara's eyes darted to the spiral. The box's whispers were a scream now, pulling her toward the center. She didn't trust the stranger, but she needed answers. She pulled the box from her satchel, its green glow blinding, and stepped into the spiral. The mosaic flared, lights shooting up like flames, and the whispers became a voice, clear and cold. "The light wakes. The truth burns." The chamber shook, dust falling from the ceiling. The stranger's golden eyes widened. "You've begun it," it said, stepping back. "The vault opens, but so does the curse." The footsteps grew louder, and a shadow appeared at the tunnel's entrance, amber eyes glinting, blade raised. Amara clutched the box, the spiral's light pulsing under her feet. The vault's truth was close, but so was death. She didn't know if the stranger was friend or foe. But one thing was clear: the light Mansa Musa hid was waking, and it might destroy them all. Chapter 11. The Chamber of Shattered Stars. Amara stood frozen in the glowing spiral, the black metal box in her hands pulsing with green light that burned her eyes. The vault's chamber shook, dust raining from the ceiling as the mosaic floor flared like a fire. The box's whispers screamed in her mind. The light wakes, the truth burns. And the stranger with golden eyes stepped back, their face hidden but their voice heavy with warning. "You've begun it," they said. The vault opens, but so does the curse. Behind them, the amber-eyed figure emerged from the tunnel, its curved blade glinting, its hiss echoing. "The light is ours." Kofi grabbed Amara's arm, his dagger raised, his face pale in the eerie glow. "We need to move," he shouted, pulling her from the spiral. The chamber rumbled, and the spiral's light shot upward, hitting the ceiling. Cracks spread like lightning, revealing a pattern of stars, broken, jagged, glowing green. Amara's breath caught. The ceiling wasn't stone, it was a map of shattered stars, pulsing in time with the box. The amber-eyed figure lunged, its blade slicing the air. Kofi shoved Amara behind him, parrying the strike with his dagger. Sparks flew, and the figure hissed, its amber eyes blazing. "You can't stop the oath," it snarled, swinging again. Amara stumbled back, clutching the box, her satchel heavy with the tablet and scroll. The stranger with golden eyes didn't move, watching like a statue, their silence chilling. "Run," Kofi yelled, blocking another blow. Amara's eyes darted to the chamber's far wall, where a narrow archway glowed faintly, its edges carved with eye-like symbols. The box's whispers urged her toward it, chanting truth, stars. Now she sprinted for the archway, her heart pounding, Kofi's grunts of effort echoing behind her as he fought the figure. The archway led to a smaller chamber, its walls black and shimmering like liquid night. The ceiling was a dome of cracked stone, etched with more shattered stars that glowed green, casting eerie shadows. In the center stood a stone altar, its surface worn but carved with a single spiral. Amara's hands shook as she approached, the box's light flaring brighter. The whispers were a voice now, clear and cold. "Place the light, see the truth." She set the box on the altar, and the chamber erupted in light. The stars on the ceiling blazed, and a vision hit Amara like a storm. She saw Mansa Musa, his face lined with fear, standing in this chamber. He held the orb from the vault's first chamber, its light green and alive. A voice not human, sharp as broken glass, spoke from the stars. "You see the truth of the world, King. It is not yours to keep." Mansa Musa wept, his hands shaking as he sealed the orb in the vault, whispering, "Forgive me." Kita. Amara gasped, the vision fading. Her knees buckled, and she gripped the altar to stay upright. The box's light dimmed, but the ceiling's stars kept glowing, their cracks forming a map, a path to something beyond the vault. "Kita," she whispered, the betrayer's name, tied to the curse, to the light. But what truth had broken Mansa Musa? Kofi stumbled into the chamber, blood trickling from a cut on his arm. "It's gone," he panted, his eyes wide. The figure had vanished when the light flared. He looked at the ceiling, his face pale. "What is this place?" "The Chamber of Shattered Stars," Amara said, her voice trembling. "Mansa Musa saw something, hear something from the stars. The box, it's a key to that truth." The stranger with golden eyes appeared at the archway, their cloak glinting in the starlight. "You've seen it," they said, their voice heavy. "The light shows what lies beyond our world, knowledge that breaks minds. Mansa Musa hid it to save Molly, but Kita's bloodline wants it to rule." Amara's heart raced. "Why tell us now?" she asked. "Are you with them?" The stranger's eyes dimmed. "I am bound to the oath, but I am not your enemy. The vault's truth is waking, and Kita's kin will kill to claim it. You must choose, destroy the light or carry its curse." A low rumble shook the chamber, and the altar cracked, the box sinking into it. The whisper stopped, but a new sound rose, footsteps, many of them, echoing from the tunnel. More amber-eyed figures, their blades glinting, filled the archway. The light one hissed, its voice a chorus of hate. "Give it to us." Kofi pulled Amara back, his dagger ready. The stars above flared brighter, and the chamber's walls began to shift, revealing new tunnels. Amara clutched her satchel, the tablet and scroll inside her only clues. The vault's truth was open, but the curse was alive, and Kita's bloodline was closing in. Chapter 12. The truth that burns the soul. Amara's heart thundered as the chamber of shattered stars trembled around her. The green glow of the ceiling's broken stars casting eerie shadows. The black metal box had sunk into the altar, its whispers silent now, but the air buzzed with a strange energy, like a storm about to break. The amberite figures filled the archway, their curved blades glinting, their voices hissing as one. The light. Give it to us. Kofi stood ready, his dagger bloodied from his earlier fight, his eyes fierce despite the cut on his arm. The stranger with golden eyes watched from the shadows, their warning: destroy the light or carry its curse ringing in Amara's ears. We can't fight them all, Kofi shouted, backing toward one of the new tunnels that had opened. In the shifting walls, Amara, we need to run. Amara clutched her satchel, the black stone tablet and tattered scroll inside feeling heavier than ever. The vision of Mansa Musa, weeping, holding the glowing orb, burned in her mind. He'd seen a truth that broke him, a truth from beyond the stars. She needed to know what it was, even if it meant facing the curse. The tunnel, she yelled, pointing to a narrow path glowing with faint starlight. It's our only chance. They sprinted toward the tunnel, the amberite figures lunging after them. The chamber shook, stones falling from the ceiling, and the star map above flared brighter, its light searing Amara's eyes. She stumbled, her hand brushing the tablet in her satchel. A new vision hit her like a wave, pulling her under. She saw Mansa Musa again, kneeling in the desert, the orb in his hands pulsing green. The sky above was cracked with red, and a voice, vast, not human, spoke. You see the end of worlds, King. Your empire will fall if you keep this light. Mansa Musa's advisor, Kita, stood beside him, his eyes greedy. We can use it, Kita said. Rule forever. But Mansa Musa shook his head, tears falling. It's a curse, he whispered, sealing the orb in the vault. Amara gasped, the vision fading as Kofi pulled her into the tunnel. The amberite figures were close, their blades scraping the walls. What did you see? Kofi asked, his voice sharp as they ran. The truth, Amara said, her voice trembling. Mansa Musa saw the end, something that could destroy everything. Kita wanted it, but Mansa Musa hid it to save Molly. The tunnel twisted downward, its walls carved with eye-like symbols that glowed faintly. The air grew colder, the metallic smell stronger, like blood and iron. The tablet's glow pulsed, guiding them to a small chamber with a single stone pedestal. On it lay a crystal, clear as water but glowing with the same green light as the orb and box. The whispers returned, not from the box but from the crystal, a soft chant. See, no. Amara's heart raced. This is it, she said. The light Mansa Musa hid, it's not just power, it's knowledge. Something so big it scared him. Kofi's eyes widened. Knowledge that ends worlds. Amara, we can't touch it. Before she could answer, the amberite figures burst into the chamber, their blades raised. The light is ours. One hissed, its voice a chorus of hate. Amara grabbed the crystal, its glow burning her hand, and another vision flooded her mind. Molly's cities in flames, the sky-red eyes watching from the stars. She screamed, dropping the crystal, her mind reeling with images of destruction. Kofi slashed at the nearest figure, his dagger clanging against its blade. Amara, move, he shouted. She scrambled to her feet, grabbing the crystal again, its heat searing her skin. The tablet flared in her satchel, and the pedestal sank, revealing a hidden staircase leading up. Go! Kofi yelled, shoving her toward it. They ran up the stairs, the figures closed behind, their hisses echoing. The crystal's whispers grew louder, filling Amara's head with words. The truth burns the soul. Choose. At the top of the stairs, they emerged into a cave, moonlight streaming through its mouth. But the amberite figures were relentless, their blades flashing as they climbed after them. Amara clutched the crystal, its light pulsing in her hand. The stranger with golden eyes appeared at the cave's entrance, their voice calm but urgent. You've seen the truth, they said. Destroy the crystal, or Kita's bloodline will use it to break the world. Amara's heart pounded. The visions showed destruction, but also knowledge, secrets of the stars, of worlds beyond. Could she destroy it without knowing its full truth? The figures were almost upon them, their amber eyes blazing. Kofi stood ready, blood dripping from his arm. The choice was hers, and the vault's curse was closing in. Chapter 13. The Vault's Last Keeper. A choice in the dark. Amara's hand burned as she clutched the glowing crystal, its green light pulsing like a heartbeat in the moonlit cave. The amber-eyed figures closed in, their curved blades flashing, their hisses sharp as broken glass. "The light is ours," they snarled, their voices a chorus of hunger. Kofi stood beside her, his dagger bloodied, his arm trembling from the cut he'd taken. The stranger with golden eyes stood at the cave's entrance, their cloak glinting, their words heavy. "Destroy the crystal, or Kita's bloodline will use it to break the world." Amara's mind reeled, the crystal's whispers screaming, "The truth burns the soul. Choose." The visions she'd seen: Mansa Musa weeping, Molly's cities in flames, a sky cracked with red told her the crystal held knowledge from beyond the stars, a truth so dangerous it had cursed a king. Her satchel hung heavy with the tablet and scroll, their warnings of betrayal and blood oaths echoing. She didn't want to die, but she couldn't let Kita's kin claim the light. "Kofi," she whispered, her voice shaking, "cover me." Kofi nodded, his eyes fierce despite his pain. He lunged at the nearest figure, his dagger clashing against its blade. Sparks flew, and the cave echoed with grunts and hisses. Amara backed toward the cave's wall, her eyes locked on the crystal. Its light showed her the truth, a power to see beyond the world, to know secrets that could ruin empires. Mansa Musa had hidden it to save Molly, but Kita's betrayal had cursed it, and now that curse was hers. The stranger stepped closer, their golden eyes glowing. "You are the vault's last keeper," they said, their voice calm but urgent. "Mansa Musa's oath lives in you. Destroy the crystal, or its light will destroy you." Amara's heart pounded. She didn't want to be a keeper, just a scholar who loved books and truth. But the truth was in her hands now, burning her skin, whispering her name. She looked at Kofi, fighting to protect her, his blood staining the sand. She thought of Zara, lost to the fire, and Jibril waiting in Timbuktu. She couldn't let their sacrifices be for nothing. The amber-eyed figures pressed closer, their blades slashing. One caught Kofi's shoulder, and he stumbled, his dagger slipping. "Amara," he shouted, his voice raw. "Do it, Amara." Hands shook as she raised the crystal, its light blinding. The whispers roared, a voice not her own. "Choose, save, or doom." She saw the vision again, Mali burning, eyes watching from the stars. If she kept the crystal, she might learn its secrets, but Kita's kin would never stop. If she destroyed it, the truth would be lost forever. A figure lunged at her, its blade inches from her chest. Amara dodged, her back hitting the cave wall. The tablet in her satchel flared, its symbols glowing through the cloth. The stranger's voice cut through the chaos. "The tablet, use it." Amara yanked the tablet out, its green light merging with the crystals. She pressed them together, and the cave exploded in light. A scream filling the air, not hers, not Kofi's, but the figures. The amber-eyed ones staggered, their eyes dimming, their blades falling. The crystal cracked in her hands, its light fading, and the whispers stopped, leaving a silence that felt like death. The figures collapsed, their cloaks crumbling to dust. The stranger with golden eyes nodded, their face softening. "You've broken the curse," they said. "Mansa Musa's oath is fulfilled." Amara dropped to her knees, the cracked crystal falling to the sand. Kofi limped to her side, his face pale but alive. "Is it over?" he asked, his voice weak. Amara looked at the tablet, its glow gone, now just a cold stone. The scroll in her satchel held the last of Mansa Musa's words, but the light was dead. "It's over," she said, tears stinging her eyes. "But the truth, it's gone." The stranger stepped back, their form fading into the moonlight. "Some truths are too heavy," they said. "You saved Molly, keeper." Then they were gone, like a dream. Amara and Kofi stumbled out of the cave, the desert quiet around them. Timbuktu's lights glowed in the distance, calling them home. The vault's secret was buried again, its curse broken, but Amara felt its weight in her heart. She'd seen the truth that burned Mansa Musa's soul, and though she'd saved her city, she'd carry its shadow forever.